ones. We heard from President Zelensky, who said in response to the president saying that if Ukraine were to be allowed into NATO right now, it would effectively say we are at war with Russia. Zelensky pushed back and said, we're not asking to be added right now. Does the United States concede that there is a way that Ukraine can get a stronger commitment to join NATO in the near future without putting the U.S. at war with Russia?
Well, I would just point out that 48 hours ago, the coverage was about a major division in perspective on the question of Ukraine's membership. I think your question underlines the fact that there is consensus, including from Ukraine, that the question is not Ukraine and NATO now here at Vilnius. The question is, what's the pathway towards Ukraine's future membership? I think we can come to a good understanding about that here in Vilnius among all of the allies and with Ukraine. That's really what these next 2 days are about, and I think that's what will be reflected in the communique.
Munitions. The president, in his comments this weekend with Marie Zakharia, made clear that this was in part a temporary move because we were low on, or they, the Ukrainians, were low on ammunition. What time frame are we talking about in terms of the ability to, again, provide them with the ammunition the Ukrainians need? How long is it going to take, given all of the military aid that's been provided so far, to get back up to speed in that regard?
Right. What President Biden was referring to is the fact that the unitary rounds that we've been providing and that we've been getting other allies and partners to provide to Ukraine, those stockpiles are running low. So in the absence of providing the cluster munition variant of 155, Ukraine would not have enough artillery, not just to conduct this counteroffensive, but potentially not enough artillery to be able to defend the positions it holds. We were not prepared to leave Ukraine defenseless, period. So for us, when it came down to the choice, our choice was, despite the difficulty, despite the challenges, despite the risk to civilian harm associated with cluster munitions, the risk to civilian harm of leaving Ukraine without the ammo it needed was, from our perspective, greater. You're right that we view that as temporary because many months ago we began the intensive process of ramping up our unitary round production. Once it hits a level where unitary round production can satisfy Ukraine's needs, then there will be no need to continue giving cluster munitions. I cannot give you an exact timeline for that because, of course, war is dynamic, and it goes to the question of usage rates as well as to the question of the defense industrial base hitting its marks in terms of increased production. So far, they have been hitting their marks. It is not as fast as we want, but they laid out a timeline and they are working along it. So as the weeks unfold, we will begin to be able to paint a clearer picture of what this pathway looks like exactly. But those are the two main variables. One variable, usage rates, depending on the nature of the conflict on the ground. The other variable, how quickly the defense industrial base can get up to the unitary round level necessary to sustain Ukraine's defensive needs.
Is that days, weeks, or months?
It's months, but the question is how many. Okay, thanks everybody.